Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. You know, I try every time, Rochelle, to say it a little bit differently, and I'm going to depend on you to make sure that my internet connection isn't spotty and I'm not fading in and out and stuff, because if that happens, you're going to have to run the show again.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for.
But am I okay right now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, that's exciting. We've got a great show for everybody today, and we're going to talk about one of Rochelle's favorite things, and one of the things that I never seem to master, and that's called dance. And we're going to talk to a couple of people, Amanda and Leta, and they have a nonprofit, and they work with autistic children to help them learn to dance and to exercise passion in their life. And it really is fun. Would you like to introduce them, Rochelle?
Yes. So welcome, Amanda and Leta. Amanda and Leta are here with us today. Forgive me, there's a lot going through my mind. I'm really excited. But you guys have a website called Autistic Wings Dance Company.com. And we're just happy to have you here. Yeah. Oh, is it .org?
Yeah.
It's .org. I stand corrected. AutisticWingsDancing.org, and we're excited to have you guys here. Welcome in, and I can't wait to talk about how this all got started.
You almost committed a Kevin and screwed up her name.
I know. It was a close one.
But thank you guys so much for having us.
We are so excited to have you here and Leta, I have to tell you, you just look beautiful sitting there.
Yes.
She may have one of those days where she's all teenager.
That's okay. I was one of those a while ago. So was Rochelle, not so long ago. And it's exciting to have you here. Amanda, you did something on behalf of Leta that is really awesome. Would you explain to our audience what it is that you and she have created?
We have started a nonprofit dance studio in Colorado Springs, Colorado, that is all about teaching autistic dancers ages 3 to 99 how to dance. We do not do adaptive style dance classes. If you're in the differently abled community, a lot of times dance classes are dumbed down for kids on the autism spectrum. What we did was we brought in all the therapists we know, all the neurologists we knew. We brought in some sports med guys and some sports psychologists, and went, how do we teach them traditional style dance with the autistic mindset?
That's really cool. Congratulations on doing that. Is that because you have an autistic child in your background?
Yeah, Leta is autistic. She comes by it naturally. Both her dad and I are also autistic.
It's obvious on Dad.
She claims it's obvious on her father.
We have to get him away from rocks. We have to drag him.
He's a little in fact, he loves rocks. He will stop in the middle of a parking lot to look at a rock in the asphalt.
Me too. I love that.
He got issues.
But Leta has been dancing since she was 6 years old. She works with Chloe Arnold, who is her mentor, who's one of the biggest names in the tap dance world and in choreography currently.
Now famous.
Leta's known her since she was 8. When you know someone as a child, they must not be famous. They just can't be famous, right? But Leta was working with all these amazing kids. She's part of SoleTalk International Youth Tap Company. She's in with some of the biggest tap dancers of the next generation. And when it was coming to dance studios, they just couldn't work with her autism. They were pushing her off to the side. They were saying very outdated information about autism, like, well, autism means that she won't have the mentality above 3.
I guess they wanted me to give them respect.
They also had issues with, like, most autistic people, she doesn't like looking people in the eyes. They're like, well, she's not respecting me because she won't look me in the eyes. There were some issues with autistic kids. Their voices drop a lot lower a lot later, and that just led dance instructors to go, oh, that's proof she's not mentally capable of understanding what the other kids in class said. At the same time, having my 7, 8, 9-year-old in with high schoolers, so she did look a lot less mature than the high schoolers.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That means when she's 90, she's going to look 50.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I expect they'd be like, well, why isn't she worried about her SATs? And I'm like, she's 9. She's not worried about those yet.
No, that comment was when I was 8.
I'm sorry. It was when you were 8. But, and so she finally, it was getting to the point the dance studio wasn't a place of joy. It wasn't a sanctuary. It was beginning to be a place where she was having panic attacks just by driving into the parking lot, and it was like, we can't do this anymore.
And panic attacks. It's just my heart sinking into my chest. I'm going very fast.
So panic attacks.
No, she
But
just
it was
wanted
like,
to talk fast.
yeah. And she was crying every time she was coming out of the studio, which is not where you want your young dancer being. And the studio directors and teachers kept going, we know autism. We just won't let her be autistic in class, or we won't let her have her autistic limitations in class. And it was like, you have to work with these. You have to understand them. And there was a lot of arguments where they were like, well, we just won't see her autism because we love her and we're just not going to see that she's autistic. And it's like, that's not helping either of you. And we decided the best option was to just create our own studio.
Brilliant, because
Yes.
you understand what autism is and what it isn't, and there are a lot of people that have no earthly idea or how to approach it differently, because each of our minds work a little bit differently, and it needs to be in an environment like you're creating. I think that's really a good place to be.
It does. And I will say she disagrees with me because she's a teenager and teenagers think differently than adults. I think that all these, I know, I do think that they all these adults meant to show her that they loved her. I don't think they meant to hurt her the way they did.
No, but ignorance is no reason.
No, it's not. But I think that's what made it worse for me, is they thought they were showing her love.
So, like, Susan has multiple affairs.
She's like, I already know.
And I gotta tell you, Leta, and you're not going to know any of these names I'm about to bring up, but we had the opportunity several weeks ago to interview an 80-year-old dance instructor from Canada who specializes in tap. And he's met and known some of the best tap dancers in the world. And so people like, and raise your hand if you know any of these names, because Rochelle doesn't either. Sammy Davis, as an example, and Bing Crosby.
You know Sammy Davis and Bing Crosby.
I mean,
no, you know who they are.
Yeah.
And Gene Kelly, who was in dance, singing in the rain.
Gene.
Yeah, you know that one.
See, you're pretty smart all by yourself sitting there.
Her mentor feels that if you don't know the history of tap, you don't know tap.
And Gregory Hines, I wanted to mention that name as well.
I mean, duh, I know Gregory Hines. Because if I did, I'd probably get killed.
Gregory Hines was her mentor, one of her mentor's mentors.
Oh, wow. Cool.
That's amazing.
Cool. So my point there is that tap is in some circles is a forgotten art, but it seems to be coming back because more and more people are interested in it, and it is a great way to stay in shape. I'll tell you that.
Mhm.
Oh, it is. Her mentor kind of followed through what Gregory Hines did and Savion Glover, and she does what's called urban tap.
About Mr. Sad?
And you mix hip hop with tap, and these teenagers just love it.
Yeah. Well, how did you find that she had that passion? What was there something you took her to and she just you could tell that there was just a spark?
Maybe he just said put her in it.
Her
Yeah.
physical therapist did. She has a bad right hip from an injury when she was 11 months old. And she was in physical therapy, and he went, her stem is a complicated 3-point tap move. Get her to tap class now.
That's so cool.
And she went from being in the baby tap class at 6 to working with Chloe Arnold at 8.
Wow.
That
That's
that is amazing. Lita, are you proud of yourself? I know. Now,
Part about you lying about me not making it on SoleTalk because I was too young, and then I turn around and it's so surprised that you are lying. I don't know why I still trust you because you are lying.
So I should. She wasn't supposed to get onto her company. The idea was she would just audition and fail your first audition amongst friends,
This
right?
person lied to me. This person lied to me for a tape. This person lied. She's a liar. She's a liar. She's a liar.
Even her mentor was like, "No, she won't make it this time." And the next email I got was, "We lied. She's on."
Why don't you trust any of
They-
y'all?
Wow.
Lita, they didn't lie. They just didn't expect you to be as good as you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
And that's what we
really,
love, why you're here because you get to serve to show people exactly when they're wrong and to teach them that anybody is capable of anything like you've learned. So that's awesome.
And your mentors and I weren't being mean. We just were like, you were 9, so failing one audition amongst friends wasn't going to be a big deal.
well, and when you're when
But she
you're when you're 9, you don't. There's a lot you don't know, and stuff, and when you're a mom and you want to be protective of your 9-year-old, you don't want to set them up for failure and say you're going to be great, and then they're not, and then and because they're 9. But so
Yeah.
so the best of intentions all the way around, I think.
Yes. She just
And
likes to, make fun of mom lying to her on a few things.
that this too shall pass, but it won't pass till, well, my kids are 35 and 32, and it hasn't passed yet. So, I mean, I'm still hopeful.
Yeah.
When you mentioned, Amanda, that there was a lot of misunderstanding with the dance teachers and them thinking that they were providing her of some sort of support and was actually making it worse. Why do you think that is?
I think part of it is there is a lot of misunderstanding about autism, as I think the entire community seen over the last week with certain people coming out and saying things again. They also did a lot of Dr. Google, and Google is probably not where you need to go for your information.
It says
There-
cancer for everything. It just says bring a cancer for everything.
I think you've been in the dance world. I think there's a point where the dance teachers, and it's the education world as well, they don't have special needs training. They're not getting special education training, but they have a heart, and their thought process is, well, if I love them enough, I can figure it out. And a lot of things that, like, she will sit there and stim and I'll stim, and they're like, well, you're not listening. And it's like, well, but stimming is subconscious. It's a form of self-soothing.
Last time
You have to.
My ears don't control my feet don't control my ears, and the rest of my body parts are on the on and off switch.
And I think that's another thing that they were seeing stimming as, well, she's not listening to me, when it was just, a normal thing. I think, like I said, I do think they all have great intentions and they all do care. They just don't know what they don't know. And
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, and that's.
I think there.
Oh, go ahead.
I think there's a lot of, and this sounds terrible, you've got those dance moms out there. And so I think anytime a special needs, a complex needs, a differently able needs parent comes in and goes, this is what my child needs, they're starting to see dance mom in their head. It's someone just making waves to make waves and think their kid is special. And they don't understand that we're there trying to support them in creating a relationship with the child. Because with autistic kids, once you lose that trust, you don't regain it.
Yep. Very true.
That is so true. When we come back from this break, I have a story to tell you about somebody else in Canada who had an autistic son, or still has one, actually. And I want to tell you that story because it's instructive for everybody that's listening, that even educators don't necessarily have a clue on how best to handle the education of an autistic child. We'll be right back. Rochelle is here. I'm here. Amanda's here. And Leta's here. And we'll be right back after this quick message. It's just a minute, so calm down, everybody. At 67 years young, I never thought I'd feel this good again. But thanks to Purium's Ultimate Transformation Lifestyle, to date, I've lost 37 pounds and gained energy, confidence, and a whole new outlook on life. This isn't a diet. Purium is a complete lifestyle change, giving me all the natural, organic, nutrition-packed superfoods that fuel my body, crush my cravings, and help me burn fat naturally without starving myself. No gimmicks, no guesswork, just a simple, proven system that works. Superfood shakes, detox support, and real results. If I can do this at 67, imagine what you can do. It's your time to feel better, look better, and live better with Purium. Let's do it now, and let's do it together. Go to www.positivetalkradio.net and click on the Transform You to get started. That's positivetalkradio.net. Transform You. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Rochelle. That's her. I've seen her before. She is right there. And we've got Amanda Trisdale and Leta with us today, and we're talking about their dance class, or their dance studio, which is designed and to help autistic kids learn how to tap and do other forms of dance and stuff. And I wanted to tell you a quick story. There was a young boy that was that's in Canada. He's now a young adult. But when he was growing up, and he had autism, he was on the spectrum, and the school district said, well, you need to come to school and you need to be here and stuff, and this is how you need to act in the classroom and so forth and so on. Well, he had issues with that because there were times when he would there was too much going on for him to handle it safely and easily. So his mom went to the school and said, hey, look, when COVID was going on, we did homeschooling, and he did very well. His grades shot up, and we did really, really well doing that. Let me homeschool him. And they said, oh, no, we can't do that. That's against the rules, because that's how the rules work, and you know how it is. And she said, well, you know what? I'll tell you how it is. You're going to either let him homeschool, or you're going to be sending him home 3 days a week. So you get to choose. And so they went and looked at their regulations, and they said, well, we'll make an exception for you. And he's done very well since he's homeschooled, because that's what he needed. And that's what I'm hoping that educators and other people will get through this conversation that we're having with you, is that everybody's different, and everybody learns a different way, and everybody acts in a different way. And we we need to understand the differences between this, because as you said, before we even got into this discussion, well, as a matter of fact, I'll have you say this because it's an astounding number, which is they recently redid the autism spectrum, and what percentage of the population now has autism?
For the general population, it's 1 out of 31 kids. I will add, I didn't mention this before the show started. For the military, it's 3 out of 5.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The general population, it's 1 out of 31. For the United States military dependents, it is 3 out of every 5 military kids has autism.
Holy crap. Do you
Whoa.
know? Do
She's
you know?
under the opinion it's because it's a magnet for autistic people. But
Well, just so you know, my son is in the Air Force, and they have an autistic child. So I had no idea that it was that high in the military. That's crazy.
I do congressional constituent assistance for a lot of congressional offices dealing with military families with autism and making sure they're getting the services they deserve.
And in many cases, absolutely need.
Yeah.
Because if you've never been around my son, this is his first child. He's never been around autism. And when they took her to various experts and stuff, they weren't really versed in it as well. And so they've really have had a trouble getting the assistance that she needs to live a happy, healthy, wealthy life.
I tell people we were lucky, and it sounds weird, but we were. I'd already done 10 plus years when she was diagnosed. So it was me going into her pediatrician who I had worked with on other cases and going, the school system won't help. We got to get her diagnosed. And her pediatrician had her through the TRICARE system, had the authorization, and went, she's seeing the neurologist and developmental ped tomorrow.
Oh, that's cool. That's really great. Brichelle, you're moving your cat again.
So, there's some shows she just feels like she needs to be here for. Leta, she must love you. If you want to see her, you can let her say hi. This is my Luna. Her name is actually Lunatic. That is why I named her that. She's absolutely insane. She's a lot like me, but I love that you got into dancing, Leta, because it's such a way of being able to express how you feel and where your emotions are at, and even for mindset. Just the average person, think about how much dancing is like therapy in a way. And so I think that is so amazing that you stuck with that, and it sounds like you're pretty good, because I never did tap dancing, but I did all the other kind. So I would love to find out more about what made you love tap so much.
Can you get past the kitty cat and
Step
talk
on the
about
cat.
movie?
He's cute.
And cute. And we she loves animals of all kind, if you can't tell.
Yeah. No, there's no. But for you, even Amanda, is there been a change significantly since you got her into dance, and then once you started this program that you saw?
So you probably won't believe this, but when she started dance, she was labeled as non-receptive and non-expressive. So she was totally nonverbal when she started dance at 6. I think
almost the teenagers.
Yeah.
probably not the place to learn how to speak, as in with the high schoolers and the middle schoolers. She didn't have that cute kid stage. She went straight from not speaking to talking like a preteen teenager.
Talking like this, that was good.
But even her speech and language pathologist noticed the more dance classes we were adding, the more her language skills were coming along, the more she was understanding her English, the more she was understanding grammar, the more she was understanding words had actual meanings.
I still
And
don't really get English.
I'm not sure anyone gets English completely.
That's true.
But
it's my second language.
a lot of, in the science fields, we would call them new, because they're only 15-year-old studies. And for us, that's really new. But there are a lot of studies coming out of the evolutionary biology of all fields, showing that language and dance are processed the same, and that dance is literally just a form of language. That every movement is a piece of the grammar. It's a verb, it's a noun. It's not, where normal dance teachers are going, well, we're helping your language because we're teaching you nouns like pirouettes. It's the actual motion of learning what a pirouette is that's helping the language. It's the actual motion of putting a pirouette together with a chassé that starts the brain, without you even thinking about it, it starts exercising how grammar and sentences are formed and how syntaxes go. And we noticed it with her, which was one of the things when we started Autistic Wings. I was like, hey, parents, we kind of understand language. We do need you to tell us, because, speech is just as much of a spectrum when you're talking about speech issues as autism is. And so we ask all of our parents to fill out forms. It's our own version of IEP. And we've noticed, because we knew where they were with speech also helped, but all of our dancers have progressed in speech. Like, we've got kids who were not speaking who are now asking to come to dance class within 3 months of starting class.
Yay!
That is so cool. And congratulations on doing this. How long has Autistic Wings Dance Company been around?
We
Yeah.
officially started the paperwork last March. We opened our doors in September.
And how is it going?
It is going, aside from the fundraising, it's going great. We have outgrown our current location and need to fundraise ourselves into a bigger building, because I am actually having to turn dancers away.
If somebody would like to donate to the Autistic Wings Dance Company, how do they do that?
Oh, I know this one. I know this one. Website.
Website.
If you go to our,
Yes.
If you go to our website, autisticwingsdancecompany.org, we have the donation form on the website. Right now, we found out that for some of our local grants, we need a large donor base between 2,000 and 3,000 monthly donors. And so if you donate monthly or annually in the next couple months, Leta is making keychains herself for everyone who agrees to a $10 or more or month donation.
Why did you screw me over? You screwed me over. I am one human being. Why did you screw me over? I'm one freaking human being.
She is getting some help, but she's doing the actual resin, and each one is coming out slightly different. So they're not all going to look the same.
Oh, that's really cool. And that's a really cool thing for you to do, Leta.
Yeah.
You screwed
And I
me.
love how they're all different because it makes it unique, and it just goes to show how unique you are. And by giving that, and Amanda, I have to ask you, you mentioned at the beginning of the show that you had also had autism. When did you find that out, and how did that help you with Leta?
I
She was a baby.
was really young. For the 80s, I don't know how I got diagnosed so young, but I was
Yeah.
diagnosed before I was in school.
Wow.
I think a lot of that, it affected me, I think, different than this new generation, because I was good enough that it was all about hide your autism, hide your autism, hide your autism. I went to therapists to try to learn how to hide my autism. I went to,
Yeah.
psychiatrists even that were like, let's hide your autism, which I do not highly suggest doing.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think that's hiding your authentic self. And I know we need to take a break, which I'll let Kevin take us into, but just food for thought. I think that it would be life changing for so many people, and global changes would probably occur if we went into education and actually had to learn about that. It wasn't something that we got to choose that's specific away from what you would say normal kids, because I've never been diagnosed, but I know I'm on the spectrum. You can't convince me otherwise. I just know those things. And I think it was hard for me in school because I wasn't diagnosed, but I wasn't what, like the other kids, so called, they would say. So I really think that somehow, some way, we need to come together, and we need to figure out that when you go into the education system, it is not an option to have to take those courses and understand, because I mean, we're all human, and Leta should be able to be in any form or sort of a classroom or a dance class where she is just taken in as one of them, but also understood correctly.
And just so you guys know, I've done a lot of shows, well over 1,000 Positive Talk radio shows, and there's a special family that I've gotten close to, and they all have autism. All the kids do, and they've created a video because they're now Sisters J. And when we come back from this break, I'd love to play this video for you because it really is self-instructive. The blonde-haired girl was non-verbal until she was 3 years old, and the mom worked for them. Her name is Mary Jackson. She's in Tennessee, and she works with the legislature like you're working with the legislature to try and bring awareness up about autism and its effects so that everybody can get the best opportunity to have the best life that they can. Do you mind if I play a little bit of that when we come back?
That'd be great.
We will be right back. You're listening to what are they listening to, Michelle?
You are listening to Positive Talk Radio with Kevin McDonald, and me, of course. And today we have Amanda and Leta, so stay with us. We're going to play them a wonderful video and continue this amazing conversation. So don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
And we are going to dispense with our second half of that break because I want to have enough time to talk to you guys a lot more. But I wanted to play this video because it is really really a cool thing. So we're going to do that right now. And that is Sisters J. And that was Lily and Elizabeth. Elizabeth wrote that song when she was 16 years old. And they're graduating college now, and she's getting a master's degree in music. But when they were young, they were obviously on the spectrum, and they have worked through it and understand it. And one of the things that they say in that song, I don't know if you caught the lyrics, but breathe in and remember who you are, because who you are is important. All of us, every one of us. And Leta, you are as important as I am. I'm not as important as Michelle is, but that's just me.
That's not true. You just went against what you said, Kevin. Come on.
So what did you think of the song?
They were babies.
She just saw the cute baby. She says, it's an amazing song. I absolutely love it.
And
Yeah.
and if you notice, it has all kinds of different people in it that because we're all humanity, and we're all different, and we're all the same at the same time.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that really is the message, and that's what the message is that you are trying to get out with Autistic Wings Dance Company. I really highly encourage you to donate to them, and you can do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can do that by going to autisticwingsdancecompany.org, and it says right there, it says donate.
Yes.
And we encourage people to do that because, as you know, well, Amanda, you know more than I do because I don't have a nonprofit, but funding for a nonprofit can be very tough. But your cause is pure and it's right and it's so needed. And so I hope people will open their heart and give to you and get a present from Leta at the same time.
Yeah. She has no words to say. But I have to ask both of you as well. I look at this video and I go through my life. I've worked with lots of autistic people on the range of whatever age they are and what level maybe, but they're still a person and they still have, I mean, if you ask me, sometimes I think that there's a specialty to it. I don't think it should be downgraded. If anything, in a way, they're above us because they're able to do certain things like Leta with her tap dancing, and like Legos. I've seen some autistic kids that they don't look at the instructions; they just build it. They just do it. They know how, memorizing words and things like that. Um, that helped them with their speech and watching movies and listening to different songs and things like that, which I love how dance does that because you can dance without music, but you can also dance with music and it kind of sets the tone. So from you, Amanda, if you had to tell somebody who was like, but why, how am I supposed to understand that this person is different just in a different way? How would you help them look and kind of put a perspective on that? Because we're all different. So it really doesn't make sense as to why we need to tend to label it, if you know what I mean.
Part of the reason for labeling autism when I'm talking to parents is there are a lot of medical issues that go along with autism. So if you can get that medical diagnosis for all the girls and boys on the spectrum have a higher chance of having seizures. They have a higher chance of GI issues. They have a higher chance. We're finding out masking causes hypertension at a very young age. We're finding teenagers and 20-somethings with hypertension levels like they're in their 60s.
Oh, wow.
So for the medical purposes, it's really important to label just so you get that medical help.
Yeah.
Boys also have a greater chance of having grand mals.
Yeah, boys have like an 87% chance of having a grand mal seizure sometime in their life if they're autistic.
And those can be life-threatening.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's where I think a lot of people don't understand. There's a
Label's a kid. Label's a kid so their doctor can help make them live. Label's a kid.
it's not the way there's, more and more studies being shown that the autistic brain is actually physically different than the neurotypical brain, which is causing a lot of those issues you're seeing medically. So yeah, labeling does have.
Label isn't bad. It's like telling somebody who has a genetic disorder and something that they shouldn't have a label. Or telling somebody with a sickness that's very, very, very not gonna go well, that you don't see the sickness in them. It's very much being on the deathbed.
She's
Yeah,
had
that's a
so many
perspective
people.
to have.
But I think we are doing a lot of individual lesson planning at Autistic Wings. Our dance classes do not go above 4 dancers because that is therapy industry standards. We're staying within therapy industry standards for group therapies. But I think it wouldn't hurt to see the individual in everyone, to see how everyone learns, because trying to do a one size fits all for everyone.
Yeah, that's just evil.
It is evil. I agree.
I mean,
Steele's cheating on his wife multiple times and telling her a level of evil.
Yeah.
I think it's not just the label for autistic people. I think it's the seeing the individuality. And I think a lot of in the education world and in the dance education world, I think they want everyone to be so cookie cutter.
Yes.
Yep, that's unfortunately that is how the education system is built, and they don't treat people well. And in some cases, I was not a very good student. I'm very smart, but I wasn't a very good student because I was bored to tears. So I just went to the gym and played basketball and stuff, and because nobody addressed anything. It was like if you don't fit into this the way it's supposed to be, the way you're supposed to look, the way you're supposed to act, then we don't want to see you because you're just too big of a challenge for us. And we were talking about on a previous show, Amanda. I would really love your opinion on this because we were talking about the education department and the funding that the education department brings to states for special needs or unique needed people, and the current administration is trying to eliminate the education department. What do you think of that?
I have a love-hate relationship with the 1978 special education law.
Do tell.
I think read it, so we did have stupid old people on the staff.
Tosh did what they could in 78. I think that from talking to everyone who was involved in that law, it was supposed to be a, groundwork.
Yes.
And we have never made it past the groundwork stage. It broke autism into 2 different types of autism, even though there's only one type of autism. Under the 78 law, Leta has never been diagnosed educationally autistic. So the school system doesn't see her as autistic, even though she's been medically diagnosed autistic.
Now, what kind of stupid thing is that?
Yeah. Why is that?
The school system.
So in 1978, they were trying to help more kids. I had to have this explained to me by people who were around back then. And the deal was that getting them in to see neurologists, getting them in to see the then fledgling beginnings of developmental pediatrics, getting them in to see behavioral psychiatrists might not be something every kid could get to. So they decided to have this deal where teachers could diagnose kids as autistic or as ADHD.
Okay, so basically they didn't think humanity would freak up so much as it did.
And they were expecting to continue building on that. The problem is we didn't keep building. And so like
people in office, so that can be in office. Have problems.
But with the 70 she may know a few politicians, so she has opinions.
Wait, child back. I will be surprised.
She's a teenager. She speaks her mind. Also, that autism doesn't help with the speaking of the mind. But like for Leta, because of where we were when she was diagnosed, the school system we were in would not give her the autism assessment test until she had language.
It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me.
What exactly did that mean for kids who were nonverbal? or that were.
I will say, because her dad is military, it meant for us that I could get them to sign the piece of paper saying they weren't going to do anything, go to her pediatrician and go, pretty please, can you fix this? And so instead of getting 10 minutes a week of speech and language pathology, she got 1 hour a day, 5 days a week that the insurance paid for.
Congratulations, Amanda. And this is instructive for all the mothers out there and fathers, but you need to be your child's advocate to make sure that they're getting the best care that they need that's appropriate for them, regardless of their situation. Do you agree with that?
I do.
100%.
Yeah. You have to be your kid's best advocate, no matter what other people say, no matter when other people say that they know your child better than you know your child.
They are liars. They are liars.
Yes, they are. You tell them, girl.
Creepos, they are liars and creepos. Liars and creepos, because they can sound creepy. That's just creepy. That's creepy. That's creepy.
I love the tangents.
This is
creepy. They're people.
Leta, I can tell that you're a little passionate about this particular subject.
Yeah.
I've had too many teachers be creepy and say they know me better than my mom and say they know what my life is like, and that just sounds creepy, and and say they know what I would style my bedroom. I'm a military kid. I style my bedroom. I can't pay my bedroom. I'm a military kid. That's creepy.
And
she's able to
the joys of having the joys of having a teenager on the show, right?
well, us here at Positive Talk, we love kids. We love talking to teenagers, and there will be eventually, Mom, just as this is for you, eventually there will be a filter that shows up, but it ain't happening today. So that's okay.
Yeah. It might show up. I don't know. She said she's been around me.
Around your friends. I hang around your friends.
We're going full circle here.
She gets to hang around the politicians where they're behind closed doors and there's no filters behind closed doors.
I have my family called family and your
That'll definitely provide some sort of gift.
Well, there's going to be a book in there someplace, I can tell.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, no, you as a parent, you know your kid the best. It is not someone who sees your kid for 1 day a week. It is definitely not a teacher who has never had special education classes a day in their life. Even most states do not require you to have special education classes to teach special ed.
Wow, that's insane, actually. So many things you say, I'm like,
say that again.
So there's even more wrong.
Most states do not require you to have a single semester of special education classes before you can become a special education teacher.
Yeah.
No, that's an oxymoron.
Switch some things up. Yeah, exactly. I think we've got some things backwards.
It makes absolutely no sense. And by the way, Leta, we need to take a break. Would you like to take us to break and just say, we'll be right back after this message?
We'll be right back after whatever the message is.
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at CISA.gov/secure our world. Then share them with family and friends.
Wait, so what's that?
We can get it done.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with the dancing one. Rochelle is over there, and my name is Kevin McDonald, and Amanda is here, as well as Leta, and we've had a wonderful conversation with you. You guys are really cool people, I just got to say.
Thank you so much. We enjoyed being on the show.
Well, we ain't done yet, but I just wanted to make sure we get that up, because I want to promote again. What they are doing is they're helping autistic kids learn how to dance, which in many ways is very freeing to a lot of other things like verbal abilities and coordination and learning how to work with other people and stuff. So it's a very good cause to donate to. So I would really, and Brachelle's got it on the screen there, and I'll give it to you if you're listening to this in audio. Autistic Wings Dance Company.org. And for $10 a month, you can sign up, and Leta is going to make you something, and you'll get it. And that's really
See if
cool.
I can show it to the camera. There's one of the keychains she's been working on.
Pretty.
And now she's acting like a kitty cat with it.
Okay. See, and that's it's so important that you, or that whoever is working with these kids understands their ultimate motivation and why they're doing the things that they're doing. It seems to me that if you don't have any special ed training, how can you be a special ed teacher? I just don't get it. Brachelle, does that make any sense to you?
No, not at all. And it has me sitting here thinking about just the kind of the background on autism. I've known a lot of cases where somebody, when they were little, even if they were diagnosed, they told them like they will always have a speech deficit. They will always have this, or they might not be able to do this. And it kind of made it to where we were able to understand, of course, what their capabilities were, so that they weren't pushed out into the world and overwhelmed. But also, did you have a moment like that, Amanda, with Leta, where you kind of just didn't know if the talking would ever come through, and then you found dance and it just sparked it?
There were a lot of moments where we did not think the talking was going to come through. I had worked with her amazing medical team for multiple years, and they already knew exactly when to send me chocolate or Starbucks gift cards to help me calm down on things. But you have to have people in your corner that can keep you positive, because it is a long road, and there will be a lot of people that are going to tell you just give up. There's a lot of organizations out there that are not as positive about your kid, even if they can't communicate the way you think they're going to communicate. We've got kids communicating with iPads now. We've got kids who are learning sign language. We've got kids who are finding different ways of communicating. You just need to figure out how your child communicates.
It's a very good point.
And I do have to say that I admire you greatly, because it is a challenge. My son is going, and his wife are going through this challenge now, and it's a different way of being. And I'm amazed at your patience level, and that you're able to do with her. Although, Alita, I got to tell you, you are a darling girl.
Yeah.
Can you say thanks?
When I was that age, I wished my hair looked like that when I was a teenager.
She is an amazing child. I think having a team around, I always knew she was amazing. Her dad always knew she was amazing, but having that team who could step in and go, hey, you're overwhelmed. Let's see if this new therapy will work. Hey, I heard this new paper's out there. Have you seen it? And it wasn't crazy ideas, because everyone who's an autistic parent has had that. Hey, have you tried multivitamins to see if it'll multivitamin away the autism?
The ignorance of some people just astounds me,
Yep.
because their actual brain is wired differently. That doesn't make them better or worse. That makes them different. But we're all different. Brachelle's different than me, and I'm different than almost everybody I've ever met. But that's just me.
The world would be boring if we were all the same.
Ain't that the truth,
Exactly.
sister?
Exactly.
No, the world would be Pokemon. The world would be Pokemon, and we will all be Pokemon, and the world would be Pokemon, and we would all be Pokemon.
That would be interesting. And you said earlier, Amanda, that their brain scan is actually physically different. So does
Yeah,
that kind of just show how the thinking goes different ways than normal?
Yeah, so it's they're looking directly at neurodivergent. That includes the ADHD.
Mhm.
The brain is scanning.
Right.
Not only is it functioning different, like when you put them in and you're running it through and seeing how it's firing off, it is functioning faster. So there are some things where you're taking depressants where that can actually cause issues with you're slowing down everything now, including your heart, your metabolism, all that fun jazz. But it
Mm.
is 100% with, because Leta also has severe dyslexia. They're noticing the way that the eye is processing everything is totally different with dyslexia too. It's wired. It's not just that the optical nerves are wired differently. It's the entire different. It's not lighting up the same way a neurotypical brain would light up when you're looking at something.
Okay. And you mentioned like the ADHD side of it. Is that something that I'm guessing is pretty common with autism, right?
So there's a question, and this one becomes a very big academic question as to whether or not ADHD and autism are the same thing, if ADHD is a symptom. They've
Right.
been arguing about this since 1784.
Oh my goodness.
So
Well,
When I was just
someday
when I
maybe
was
we'll
just a
figure it
small
out.
child.
yeah, I mean, people think the the diagnosis that we now know as autism first showed up in the medical journals with King George III still on the throne.
Wow. Well, I really have hope. There's got to be maybe in 2037 we'll figure it out, but better soon than later. It's about time.
And Amanda, we have just about a minute and a half left. I would love for you to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know. But first, go donate to Autistic Wings Dance Company.org, please. And Amanda?
Mhm.
Do you want to take it?
Go on to our podcast, Leta Tap Styles. We have a chubby pimple. You could just skibble people talking, you just focus on the chubby pimple and just skibble the episodes without the chubby pimple and just skip the chubby pimple.
She's like, go watch our podcast, but go donate. Autistic kids can learn to do a lot. You just have to teach them in the way they understand.
Right.
And by the way, you said before we even got started, there are autistic kids that are writing symphonies.
Yes.
And are doing things that that I could never even begin to try to. Tap dancing would be a challenge for me too, by the way. Just saying. Rochelle, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we go?
No, just gonna leave a thought to that. Maybe there should be a class as the more normal people get to have or are supposed to have when they're in school that teaches them about the differences of people and how their brain is working to literally understand why they are the way they are and to build us all together as one and understand that we're supposed to be here for each other in our differences, not in our similarities. So thank you both so much for joining us in today. And I have high hopes for you, Leta, especially with the tap.
Thank you so much for having us on.
We have a chubby pimple.
She's like, I can hear my puppy upstairs. I'm going to be focused on my puppy.
Thank you both. And Leta, you are an amazing kid, and you're going to have a wonderful life, and you got a wonderful mom to help you through it. Thank you, everybody.
So much.
Thank you so much for everybody for listening to this. You can go to positivetalkradio.net or YouTube to listen to it again, or send it to friends and family who can benefit from it. So with that, thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.